to the next meeting.
Okay, we're gonna call this meeting back to order. It is 12:38. We are on to item B of our public hearings. This is an emergency ordinance of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending section 2-94, qualifications and appointments of members, and section 2-96, removal of agency, board, committee, or commission members of Division 2, procedures for the establishment of boards, committees, and commissions of Article 4, boards, commissions, committees, and other agencies of Chapter 2, administration, and section 34-113, composition, appointment, and compensation of members of Division 3, local planning agency of Article 2, zoning procedures of Chapter 34, zoning districts, design standards, and nonconformities of the Code of Ordinances of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, removing property ownership as a qualification requirement for the members of the town's agency, boards, committees, or commissions, and adding a voting registration requirement for members of the local planning agency and audit committee, eliminating duplicative and unenforceable language, adding a provision to section 34-113 regarding the mandatory annual financial disclosure form as required by Florida Commission of Ethics, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's errors, conflicts of law, and an effective date. Nancy?
Thank you. This is the one that keeps coming back, I guess like Groundhog's Day maybe. But I think hopefully we're going to get it right this time. So at your last meeting that we had on, I believe it was even a second reading of the ordinance, and then of course the hurricanes came in, you did ask for some changes to be made that required a change to the title of the previously advertised ordinance. In the meantime, it's now time for you to do appointments to your committees and your advisory boards. And for that reason, we have prepared an emergency ordinance that you could adopt today with a single reading of the title, which would allow you to apply your new proposed criteria to your decisions that you make later today in the meeting. The next item that's on your agenda would be the first reading of a very similar ordinance that would then get you back into the normal process of 2 readings and then adoption. But you are able to, under Florida law, to enact an emergency ordinance that would allow you to appoint people to your committees today. With that said, I can direct your attention to the agenda materials. I believe it's page 154, and this is some of the language that we added. So as far as the qualifications, it would be qualifications may be specified for the commission shall give preference to a registered voter within the town's jurisdiction, a property owner within the town's jurisdiction, other individuals with specialized experience or knowledge, or individuals who have shown interest in the subject matter. So that broadens it very deeply. I was also asked a question regarding zip codes. We can add a little clause in there, a person having a Fort Myers Beach zip code for clarity, if you all would like to do that as well.
But Fort Myers Beach zip code's not the beach.
It's not, yeah, it's not
But
the
there's
town jurisdiction.
But
It's
we,
not the
Right.
town jurisdiction.
Right, that is correct.
but we do have folks on committees, and one
Yeah.
is seeking reappointment that's in the zip code.
So that zip code would only apply to the committees except for the audit committee
And the
and
planning,
LPA.
correct.
So all
Those
the
are-
other committees would be opened up to anyone in 33931.
Yes, which in effect, that's what the revised language
Right.
has done, because you want to be able to have the expertise from people who perhaps don't live in the area but have a keen interest in the area, subject matter expertise, or have an interest. Maybe they work here, but don't actually live here. So it really doesn't change what you have. I mean, I probably could make the argument that someone with a zip code would be an individual who's shown an interest in the town, but for purposes of clarity, to help our clerk out, it might might be good to put that clause in there, or you guys could discuss it. And if that's your intent and your understanding of it, we could just let that be reflected in the record and not make any changes. This is just your emergency ordinance right now. You can think about it after you pass the emergency ordinance if you want to change first reading. Well, you don't have too much time because that's the next item. But, sorry, I'm trying.
But it's strictly, it does not include LPA or audit.
Correct.
I'm okay with the 33931.
I am too.
Yep.
Ditto.
Okay. Is that enough direction for you?
Yes, yes. So I will add that clause, and if there's no further questions, perhaps a motion?
I'll move.
Oh, public comment?
Oh, yep, we got our public comment first.
True.
Public comment. Anyone care to speak on the emergency ordinance 24-33 for advisory committees?
Thank you.
Seeing none, we'll close public comment. John?
I'll move emergency ordinance 24-33 advisory committees
With amendment.
with amendment.
I'll
Thank
second.
you.
Okay, got a motion by Counselor King, seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? Counselor King?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
I,
Vice Mayor Adderhall? Aye. And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. The next item C is the first reading and introduction of a proposed ordinance 24-17 entitled An Ordinance of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending section 2-94, qualifications and appointments of the members, and section 2-96, removal of agency, board, committee, or commission members of Division 2, procedures for the establishment of boards, committees, and commissions of Article 4, boards, commissions, committees, and other agencies of Chapter 2, administration, and section 34-13, composition, appointment, and compensation of members of Division 3, local planning agency of Article 2, zoning procedures of Chapter 34, zoning districts, design standards, and nonconformities of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, removing property ownership as a qualification requirement for the members of the town's agencies, boards, committees, or commissions, and adding a voting registration requirement for the members of the local planning agency and audit committee, eliminating duplicative and unenforceable language, adding a provision to section 34-113 regarding the mandatory annual financial disclosure form as required by the Florida Commission of Ethics, providing for codifications, severability, scrivener's errors, conflicts of law, and an effective date. We'll now open the first public hearing.
So it's basically, I think I've provided you with an explanation of what this ordinance is intended to do. There was the approval in the emergency ordinance to add that additional language. It would be my recommendation that we go ahead and add it to this one as well. And if there is a motion after public comment.
Okay, I'm okay with adding it. Vice Mayor?
That's fine. Just had a quick question, Nancy, just, it's sort of germane to this, but I know the legislature passed the law that required us to fill out this more extensive financial disclosure form, and then the courts, I believe, overturned that.
Correct.
Is that now stated policy for the state? In other words, does the legislature have to come back again and pass something different? In other words, is that stable? Is that gonna be the policy going forward?
Yes, yes, you only need to file the Form 1. You don't have to file the Form 6.
So unless the legislature comes back and addresses the court's concerns and
Yes.
comes back and does it differently, this will be policy going forward?
Yes.
Okay,
But
thank you.
page 181 still says Form 6.
181.
181. I'm sorry, 181.
Okay, and that is part of the resolution, I think. That's what came up on mine. That would be your rules and procedures?
No, it's council member requirements. Electronically file a statement of financial interests,
Yep.
Form 6,
Under Exhibit A.
under Exhibit A.
Okay, that, I believe, is your next item.
And I apologize.
That would be regarding a change to your resolution 23-182.
Okay.
That's okay.
I apologize.
Mr. Safford, because, well, we'll go ahead. I'm going to actually recommend that you take no action on that at this time, because you want your resolution to be consistent with your ordinance. This ordinance is coming back to you for second reading. So when you adopt it, assuming you adopt it at second reading, that's when we'll make sure that that's corrected.
Okay, fair enough.
So do you still need us to do the 33931?
Yes,
Give
if,
direction?
if,
Okay.
if you are,
Yes.
yes.
I'm okay with it. Counselor King?
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
everybody's okay with it.
Okay, public comment.
Ivy Woodson.
Okay. I'm watching Scott's head's going like this. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go any upward. Public comment. Anyone care to speak on ordinance 24-17 advisory committees? Seeing none, we will close public comment and ask for a motion to approve or deny.
I'll move ordinance 24-17 advisory committees.
Okay.
For
Motion by
approval.
Counselor
As
King.
amended.
As amended. Okay, got a motion by Counselor King,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? Counselor King,
Aye.
Counselor Woodson,
Aye.
Counselor Safford.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. Next is item D. This is a resolution of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending sections 2 and 5 of the town's policies and procedure manuals to make it consistent with eligibility requirements for members of the town's agencies, boards, committees, and commissions, and to update reference to required financial disclosure forms and providing for an effective date.
So the recommendation is that you take no action on this item at this meeting. This item will come back to you on second reading of the prior ordinance.
Okay, do we need to make a motion to table it, or? just-
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
Is there a motion to table resolution 24-178?
So moved.
A motion by Counselor Safford. I'll second. Any further discussion? Counselor Safford?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
And Counselor King.
Aye.
The motion is tabled to the next meeting,
Mhm.
which is the 28th.
Next week.
Got it. Okay, next is item E. This is the first reading and public hearing on proposed ordinance 24-31 entitled An Ordinance of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending section 4.02 Mayor, 4.03 Vice Mayor, 5.01 Elections, and 5.03 Terms of Office of Fort Myers Beach Town Charter to codify changes to the date of the town elections from March to November and to establish 4-year terms of office for town council members as approved by the voters at the March 2020 municipal election, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's errors, conflicts of law, and an effective date. Will now open the first public hearing.
So this ordinance is just basically some housekeeping that we're doing. It does involve a charter change. Your charter used to have your municipal elections in March. The voters approved a change to November. However, your code of ordinances was just not updated to show that change.
Okay,
And that's all it does.
any questions for Nancy? None? Public comment? Anyone care to speak on ordinance 24-31 codification of 2020 charter amendments? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, bring it back for a motion to approve or deny. I will move to approve ordinance 24-31.
A second.
Got a motion by Mary Aller, seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? I'm an aye. Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next is our final public hearing, item F. It is ordinance 24-34. This is the first reading and public hearing on proposed ordinance 24-32 entitled An Ordinance of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending section 2 of ordinance 2005-04 to reflect the changes to the town charter approved by the town voters at the municipal elections on March 17th, 2020, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's errors, conflicts of law, and an effective date. Will now open the first public hearing.
If I may, this is just another little housekeeping item. You had a prior ordinance that was enacted back in, I think, 2005, where you changed the date from November to March. And now, because of the vote of the electorate in 2020, we are now changing that back to November. So it's just housekeeping
Got it?
follow-up.
Any questions for Nancy? Seeing none, we will open it for public comment. Does anyone like to speak in public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Is there a motion to approve or deny ordinance 24-32?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor King, seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? Counselor King,
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Winston?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. That brings us to our administrative agenda. First one is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, approving an agreement for disaster recovery services for debris and vegetation removal from waterways, canals, and natural creeks with Aftermath Disaster Recovery, Inc., based on competitive pricing procured by Lee County, authorizing the mayor or town manager to sign the agreement and providing for an effective date. Yes, sir?
Mr. Mayor, this is basically looking at agreements through Carter Gulf or their subsidiaries to procure them as our debris cleanup for canals.
Okay. Questions for Frankie or Andy? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 24-191 or deny? Motion 24.
So moved to approve.
Okay, motion by Counselor Woodson,
I'll second.
seconded by Counselor Safford. Beat you to the punch.
That's okay.
Do you want a roll call vote for these two? Okay. Any further discussion? Counselor Woodson,
Aye.
Counselor Safford,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall,
Aye.
Counselor King,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. Next is item B. This is a resolution of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending and restating its contract its contract with the Florida Department of Administrative Hearings for delivery of special magistrate services, authorizing the town manager or mayor to sign the agreement and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. So if you recall, we had a situation where the appeal process that we formerly used with Lee County Board of Adjustment, the interlocal agreement with the county had expired. We came back to the town council. An emergency ordinance was adopted to send any appeals to the special magistrate. You have an individual, an attorney, Monica Schmucker, who serves as your special magistrate. You also have a contract with the Department of Administrative Hearings to also provide special magistrate services. Ms. Schmucker's contract was amended, I think, at the last meeting, and this would just amend the DOA contract that we have if an appeal comes up during this emergency period.
Nancy, would now be appropriate time to address the public comment that was made regarding this specific?
Yes,
or
we
would you rather
can.
wait
No,
till-
I can do it now.
Okay,
So just as we just did with our committee appointments, you all did adopt a emergency ordinance that has a lifetime of, I believe, 60 days. You also did a first reading of a proposed ordinance, which would make that choice permanent. So your first reading is done. We're bringing it back for second reading, I believe, on the 28th, which would be next Monday. And at that point, you could look at available alternatives. I appreciate the information from the public comment today. The county has not indicated to us that it would be willing to enter into a interlocal agreement with the town. In fact, when I spoke with one of the attorneys, I believe he said that they don't have an interlocal with other jurisdictions within Lee County. But what I will say is that that is an option that you have, and if you want us to go back and try to negotiate that with the county and let them go back to the way it was, that's fine. I just need to make sure that there is an opportunity for an appeal, and who that decision maker would be.
has there been any
We have-
discussion with that?
with-
Is there a cost associated with, in relation to what the cost adjustment is in this resolution?
I have not done that analysis. I don't know, I don't think that Lee County was charging, perhaps they were charging what the administrative fee was. There we go, Andy's
Correct.
shaking his
I talked
head.
to Dave Warner, and it's about $1,000 per case that would be passed along to the complainant. It's my understanding that they were doing it for us because they were doing our inspections. And they no longer do our inspections, and that's why we had the MOU. And Joe, is that correct?
I think it's possible.
Come on up, Joe, if he's gonna, we gotta have him come
That
up.
was a while back.
Copy on mic.
Come up, you got it. That's the understanding I had when I talked to Dave Horner about this, and he put me in touch with their building officials and everything, and so that's kind of why we went this direction, because it was cheaper.
And I'm not sure on that, but I think it's possible. I know it was a while back when Lee County was doing plan review and inspections for Fort Myers Beach.
Right. They've said that in order to go through the process, they'd have to have somebody do plan review, they'd have to have somebody that also did and that's why it was with them, because it was just easier for them to do everything at the time in a contract. I wasn't here, so it's just
Right.
information I'm getting from the background check I was doing.
So gentlemen, when you say it's a while back, I keep hearing that, was it pre-Ian, was it
I think
5
it
years
was
ago, 6?
2017.
Okay, 2017,
Yeah.
okay.
And based on what we were able to find through email correspondence, the interlocal agreement expired, and then there was just kind of a gentleman's agreement that if there was an appeal, because I don't think we've even had an appeal, but we have one now with our unsafe buildings. But for that period of time, there really wasn't anything. So they had an agreement that, yeah, if it came, we would try to process it and provide that forum and that opportunity.
And Joe,
But it never materialized.
correct me if I'm wrong, but only the affected party can appeal the building official's decision, not neighbors and things of that nature. Is that true?
That's correct.
Yes. That is correct, yeah.
That's an important
Yes.
piece of the,
Puzzle,
yes.
yeah.
That is the piece of the puzzle.
Okay, any questions, more questions for Joe or Nancy? Okay, thanks, Joe. All right, any further discussion or a motion to approve or deny item B, DOA amended and restate contract for special magistrate service, contract for special magistrate services? I will make a motion to approve,
Second.
seconded by Counselor King. Any further discussion? I'm an aye. Counselor King?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
And Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next is item C, Resolution 24-0209. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Lee County, Florida, approving Budget Amendment Number 1 to fund the purchase of 6221 Estero Boulevard, providing authority and an effective date. Joe?
Joe Onzik, Finance Director. This is really a simple budget adjustment. We originally had the budget for the purchase of the property adjacent to the new town hall budgeted in 2024. Since the closing did not take place in that fiscal year, we're just moving the budget into 2025. And roughly half of it is still coming from the state at $980,035, and the remainder of the portion is the insurance proceeds, $739,965.
Okay, questions for Joe? Scott?
No.
Karen?
None.
Vice Mayor?
No.
Counselor King?
None.
The only question I have is maybe where are we at in the process with that?
We're in escrow and waiting now for the closing documents, and we can move forward as soon as we get those.
Okay. Any kind of time frame on that, do you think?
No, we
Hard
haven't
to say.
heard. I think wasn't it 45 days for
yes.
the due diligence period?
Right.
But I'll get with Andy and Frankie, and if you want us to try to close quicker, maybe we can. I think we're still waiting on the title report.
Okay. Cool. All right, no other question. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 24-209?
So moved.
Got a motion by Counselor Woodson,
Second.
seconded by Counselor King. Any further discussion? Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Next is item D, fee waiver for Salty Sam's. Waive fees associated with pumping out of the Salty Sam's pirate ship.
So, let's
Arr.
let's walk the plank on this one. Basically, what we're doing is, it's our obligation to
It's your
take
show.
care of people under that grant, within 1,000 feet of our boundary of our island.
Okay?
It's probably pushing it within a foot or two, but they've been really good to us in the past, helping us with certain situations. This seems like a logical thing to go ahead and help them during this situation. They were doing pier renovations, and they had to remove their mechanical pump out while they did that. So it was really no big task for our pump out boat to go there and help them.
And the fee just for
They're just pumping out it, which is $5. So
well, it says in here $100 pump out fee, so.
Right, I think over the time, the amount of pump outs, but that was not to exceed that, but actually,
Got it.
each pump out is only $5.
Okay. Any questions for Frankie or staff? Is there a motion to, God, there's a joke there. Yeah, there's,
I
I
hope
just
there's
not,
no questions.
I'm not gonna do it. Is there a motion to approve waiving the fees associated with the pumping out of the Salty Sam's pirate ship?
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Safford,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? Counselor Safford?
Oh, you know I'm gonna say this, R. Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
Aye.
Counselor King?
I was gonna say aye, but
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. Next is the local planning agency, LPA, appointing members for the fiscal year 2024, 2025.
Can I, before we move forward on the agenda, it looks like there was also a hold harmless agreement regarding the waiving of the fees, and I don't think that was approved. I think that we would need to have a motion to have that approved.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the hold harmless agreement between the town and the, I'm assuming the Salty Sam's
Yes,
pirate boat?
yes.
So moved.
Been moved by Counselor Safford,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? Counselor Safford?
C, yes, aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderhold?
Aye.
Counselor King?
aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're on to the LPA. As mentioned at the beginning, there was a request because there is a good-sized project on the docket for the LPA meeting tomorrow. So there was a request from the chair to delay this appointment for 1
And
week.
you can do that.
We can do that?
Yes, council is authorized to do it. It's in your code of ordinances on 34-114, and it allows for the extension of the term of an existing member until the successor is appointed. So you could delay your vote of appointment.
Okay. Is there anyone that has, go ahead.
I've been, just so maybe I'm not following this. So if we change the makeup of the LPA, we would delay the LPA meeting tomorrow, but if we don't change it, it'll occur tomorrow? Is that in essence what's
No,
happening?
my
No,
understanding is.
Delaying the vote, right?
it wouldn't
Yes,
delay-
you're delaying the vote.
Just the vote of who gets
to
appointed.
appoint.
Because if the board was to, a member was to change hands based on a vote today,
Yep.
the meeting tomorrow, that new member would be in place and would not have time to review the whole.
What if we reverse the two and we had the vote on the LP, and then it could be a moot point then, right?
If the people that you appoint are sitting members, then they would
Then it's a
have
moot point,
received.
But if that occurs, and if
Correct.
it doesn't occur, then we could go ahead and address the moving of the meeting, right?
Yes. Well,
just-
moving of the meeting, moving of the vote
Moving of the
to
vote,
appoint.
right.
I
It seems
think
like
if, I think
Go
the
ahead.
chair of the LPA suggests this, then it's probably a good idea.
No, I'm just agreeing with the thrust of what she's trying to accomplish. I just didn't know if the cart was before the horse.
No, I think what this would do is it would just allow the people that have put all the time and effort into making the recommendation of what's on the agenda tomorrow. It would allow, for sure, the people that have put the work in to be able to
I got you.
review
Okay, very
review
good.
that,
That's fine.
as opposed to putting potentially one or more members under a 24-hour.
It is the Seagate redevelopment. It's a development agreement. It's the first one, so it's a little complex.
No, I get that. I just.
And I know some members are sitting in the audience, and hopefully this, if this is approved, it won't be too detrimental for another week, although he's got a look on his face. So, I said I would bring it up.
So
and
you
I-
could reschedule this agenda item in toto, and it's status quo for tomorrow.
Or we could just have, if we just voted on the LPA, and if the status quo happens to
Be
remain
the
in
same
effect,
members.
then it's kind of a moot point then, right?
That is correct.
That's all I'm saying. I just seems like,
Well, procedurally, yeah, I guess it's up, whatever you think is the best to do.
Amy, is there another that's easier for you, or?
We can do it either way.
I think we should just do it next week, just,
Monday,
I mean, next Monday, yeah.
yeah.
Karen, what do you
28th.
think?
Well, I'm kind of with Jim, like if it goes with the same people, then it's done. If it not,
Yeah,
then
but
we
then you're
look
gonna,
at-
then you're gonna have to post, there's no way anybody can go, I mean, they've had that packet for,
No, but I'm
Well, you can
saying
still
if-
postpone the meeting.
Yeah.
You still postpone it.
No, I think what Jim is,
Second.
I think what
That's
Jim
not
is
fair.
suggesting is that if there is a change through the vote of the LPA and it is a new member, postponing the seat of that new member until the following Monday.
Correct.
Is that what you're trying to say? They'll still have the vote tomorrow
Yeah.
with the same LPA members, but the new person wouldn't take that seat until
Until the
after.
next week.
Until
Right,
after that.
so their appointment would take place
At
at
the
a
next
future
LPA
date.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that might, you might have a member that didn't get reelected, so it might,
But that's what we're
it
saying.
might potentially change his or her vote.
I
mean,
see your point on that, it's a good point.
That's a good point.
You see what he's saying?
Should it?
Yeah, we,
Well,
given the rational
Human
characters who
nature,
are on the
John.
LPA, I don't think so, but yes.
I don't know, I'm looking at a
never
couple
know.
of them now.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Either way, either way.
I would support just waiting until next Monday to make the appointments, just so that those that have put in the hard work,
I mean, that's.
it's a big lift.
Dude, these guys have been here all day. It's
I-
kind of cruel and
Well, that's why
unusual.
we tried to, at the beginning, say this could potentially happen, so that, if they chose to sit around
Of
at
course,
least.
John used to come to all of our meetings, so this is kind of old hat for him, yeah.
So, there's 4 moving into next week, and we'll go down and see your,
Let's see what Mr. King says.
oh, he's passing to us, Counselor King.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and delay it till next Monday.
Okay.
So it would be a motion to reschedule this item to
Okay,
the
then
28th.
I'll make a motion to reschedule the appointment of the LPA to next Monday, the 28th.
that's second.
And if possible, can we get it close to the top so the gentleman that
We'll
have
put
sat
it
there
at
all
where
day.
it belongs, at the front of the
Yeah,
meeting.
Okay.
with appointments.
All right. So we got a motion, was there a second?
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Motion by Mayor Aller, seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? No, I'm an aye.
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Oh, Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
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 Aye, aye, aye.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Next is the Anchorage Advisory Committee.
I don't know that we have to have it, since there's only 5 people and 5 openings, since Jim Hockett dropped out.
Right. And while you're talking about that, also on the Public Safety Committee, Cynthia Johnson pulled her application also.
On which one?
Public Safety.
Public Safety.
Yeah, it does say choose. I'm sorry, where are we now? Andy just, I had an ocular occurrence.
Find it. And who was it? Oh, it's already crossed out. You already have it crossed out on there.
We still have,
You already have it marked. Okay. So we're,
Which one are we doing?
so on this one, we can just make a motion to approve. Nancy, we could just make a motion to approve the 5 remaining people on the Anchorage Advisory Committee?
Yeah, just, yes.
Okay. Do we still gotta fill out our little sheet here?
Yes.
Okay.
Because your directions
For
say you
Anchorage?
fill out a ballot.
That's fine. Okay, is there a motion
Just
to
do it.
approve the 5 remaining, do I need to read their names into record, or does that matter?
I think you should.
Okay, if I butcher your name, I apologize.
Just real quick, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what's the asterisk for next to their names?
That was
Incumbent.
if you needed the waiver under your old ordinance.
Okay.
Oh, got it, okay. So under, the 5 remaining is Theodore Lowell, Lowell, Sam Lurie, John Wesley Nash, Jennifer Rusk, and Rebecca Weber. Is there a motion to, do we make a motion,
So
or do you
moved.
gotta count it
So
and then tell us?
yeah, we're missing 3 ballots.
Here's mine.
Okay.
For
Two.
I had to read the name.
It's okay.
Would you like my name?
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
So you want the honor? You can take the honor for announcing.
And while they're talking, I should have probably asked at the beginning of this,
I know.
does anyone have any objection to if there's someone in the audience that would like to speak, if their name is on one of these lists, to allow them to speak before the vote? Does anyone have any objection?
Not only do I not have an objection, if the two LPE members want to put in their 2 cents so they don't have to come back next week, they're welcome to. There you go. I welcome that too.
That's a good point. Sorry, I should have offered that.
I'm fine.
John, you all right? Come on up, John, while they're tallying up the,
I'd just like to formally state that I would like to continue to serve on the LPA. Thank you.
duly noted. Thank you, John.
Can I just reiterate the names for AAC so your policies are followed,
Yep.
because I'm supposed to read them?
Okay, then I'll just let you read them and I won't duplicate them.
Perfect. Okay, so the 5 appointments to Anchorage Advisory Committee are Theodore Lawell, Sam Lurie, John Wesley Nash, Jennifer Rusk, and Rebecca Weber.
Okay, so we don't need to take a motion on it?
You already
Did by giving you the sheets?
did, I
Yes,
think.
because you're voting.
Okay. Next is the audit committee. There are 4 applicants and 4 open seats.
I don't need a motion.
Okay.
You could do a motion just to appoint those based on the tally.
Okay, is there a motion to appoint those on the tally for the Anchorage Advisory Committee?
So moved.
So moved. All second.
Because the agenda says appoint.
Any all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Doesn't she have to read their names?
I
She
just-
did.
She did.
She did.
So,
It's been a
No,
long
the
day.
last one, we had the motion on that.
I'm sorry.
my
Next,
goodness.
next we have the audit committee. There are 4 open seats and 4 applicants.
So your ballots,
I was one step ahead of you. I'm, yeah.
so we'll tally and then you all can make a motion.
Okay, tally away.
I know. They're testing us. Okay.
Is there anyone here for the next one, Bay Oaks, Borcab?
We can read you the,
Yep.
The names.
Just-
so for the audit,
Go ahead.
okay, so for the audit committee with a vote of 5 each, Debbie Dutton, Jack Leeson, David Sandberg, and Brian Thomas.
So a motion.
Is there a motion to approve the results of the audit committee?
Appoint them.
Appointees.
Yeah.
Appoint the audit committee members.
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Safford.
Second.
Counselor Woodson seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously.
That was just a
Next
test,
is
not to have to
Borcab.
do
Would
it.
you like to come up and say a few words before we take our vote?
My name is Michelle, I'm a full-time resident, I live down at Fairview Isles, I'm also the president there, I use Bay Oaks a lot, and I'm excited to be part of the growth and the expansion and the future of it, so please vote for me.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, there are 5 people that have put their name in and 3 seats available, so vote for 3,
Please.
please.
Okay, so with 2 votes is Michelle Cherney, I'm sorry if I said that wrong. John Duslary received 4 votes. Ed Schoonover received 5 votes, and Betty Simpson received 4. So your 3 appointees would be John Duslary, Ed Schoonover, and Betty Simpson.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the results of the Borcab Advisory Committee? Or is that the
And
right way? you
appoint
want-
them.
And appoint them.
Point.
I will make a motion to approve the BORCAB appointees.
I'll second.
We have a second by Counselor Safford. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved, motion is approved 5-0. Next is CellCab. There are 4 applicants and 4 seats.
5 applicants.
5 applicants.
Five.
I only have,
Okay, I got 4.
I only have 4 on
I
mine.
only have 4.
Oh. You should have Carrie Henderson, Barbara Hill, Betty Simpson, Cheryl Smith, and Becky Werner.
Oh,
No
we
Becky
don't have
Warner on
Becky
mine.
Warner.
Oh, sorry.
She can be a write-in.
Please, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
Becky Werner's on there also.
Becky Werner.
Longtime member.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So we are voting for 5 though, right?
You're voting
Those
for
are
4.
What?
You only vote for 4. It's 4 open
There's
seats.
5 applicants, 4 votes.
But they're all incumbent. All 5 of those people are incumbents.
So it's a reappointment?
Switch on to the next one, and let us look into this for a minute.
Okay, we are going to table the CellCab vote and put it at the end and move on to MRF, the Marine Environmental Resources Task Force. There are 5 open seats and 12 applicants. Has that changed? Just make sure before we. Well, we'll move on with that for now.
Oh, Becky Werner should not be on here. She doesn't expire till next year.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry, go on with your, which one are you on now?
We are on MRF.
Murph, okay.
5 seats, 12 applicants.
Yes, and we have an answer for,
We have an applicant that would like to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up, Sharon. You've been sitting out there so patient and so quiet, I didn't even see you.
He didn't ask yet.
Sorry. We're kind of moving all over the place here.
Well, good afternoon, all of you. I'm Sharon Hegstrom, and a full-time resident of Fort Myers Beach. I began coming here in the late 60s when my mom and dad bought a place in Cape Coral. I remember the first time my dad brought us out to the beach, and he said, he just had to explain to me the value of the mangroves. He said, that was where I think was my first taste of the environment on this island, how the mangroves protect the soil, prevent the storm surge, protect the fish, the birds, the shellfish. I think they are a significant part of the tapestry woven into the environment on our barrier island. Living on Fort Myers Beach offers me a full taste of environment every day. As president at Castle Beach for 6 years, I was totally involved and supported the birding and worked with Rebecca with Florida Fish and Wildlife every season. I also watched the other day how effective the berm was, because we didn't have any sand on a sterile island on our part of the road at all, not one bit, because that berm held the sand back, and now we have a much higher beach. Our whole beach is higher. It's coming up almost to the berm. And it's the biggest beach on the island, so anyway. Well, I would appreciate the opportunity to serve on the MRF committee, to learn, to share with you, the town council and Chad, in a respectful manner. This barrier island is teeming with life that all works together as one unit to form the environment we've received from our Creator and that we're obliged to care for, weaving all the intricacies into one. Thank you for considering me as a member of the MRF committee.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else? Steve, come on up.
Good afternoon. I'm actually here to withdraw my application for reappointment to the MRF Advisory Board. There's a number of reasons why, but I'd like to share 2 of the most compelling. First, I believe the town council has begun to politicize the advisory boards and appear to want to continue this, which really doesn't serve the needs of the community by placing folks that primarily pursue self-interest or defend them. Second, I refuse to volunteer and serve on an advisory board for a town councilman like John King. All volunteers seeking an appointment need to heed this warning. John King uses really despicable tactics against advisory board volunteers to subvert his responsibilities as an elected official. This issue originates when a discreet email detailing a valid concern is sent to the entirety of the town council. Instead of considering the issue, he immediately forwards it to Ed Royd over at Beach Talk Radio to be posted on social media for public harassment. Who does this? I mean, who does this? A discreet email forwarded directly to social media. In this case, the email was actually edited even before it was posted to maximize this his social media crucifixion. His site is highly censored, negative messages are removed, and opposing contributors are blocked. It's not news, it's a propaganda narrative. This disgusting tactic is reprehensible from an elected leader, and John King deserves no respect nor support from his constituents. His actions defy any moral code or ethical requirement of a counselor. I believe that the town council continues to support Beach Talk Radio in their divisive rhetoric, excessively recognizes good deeds and providing access to information and providing content to his shows. It is an unhealthy relationship and exists really to avoid being the center of his attention. Ed Royd is nothing more than the Hawk Tuah girl of Hurricane Ian and has been monetizing our town ever since. Like an abusive partner, it's always a couple of nice acts and then a punch in the face. If he's not rallying against our prior mayor, town councilman, or even me, he tries to stay relevant. Now he's picked a fight with probably the most selfless and giving member of our community, Jackie Lezick. This has to stop. It has to stop. You know, Ed Royd is nothing but a cancer on this town, and morally vacant counselors like John King continue to feed this tumor. So thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Where are we?
All right. So,
Right? Oh, you, go ahead, finish Murph, and then we'll go back to.
okay, then we'll go back
Yep.
to CellCap. Okay. Everybody got their Murph recommendations?
Leave already? He left already? He didn't give a chance to respond?
Under, when we take our vote, you can respond if you'd like.
No, I don't need to know. I'll do it later in my time, thank you.
Okay, fine.
So it takes a little longer, you got 12 people.
Yeah.
11, sorry, 11 now.
All right, so we got 5, 25.
This is a handy little,
Oh. 2, not 11. So we got 5
Huh?
and 5,
no, this is just a,
4, 4.
in case anybody wonders what I'm looking at, it's just a,
So we have
it's
to
just a
revote
spreadsheet, if you will, of all the members that are,
between
And their expiration dates.
and their expiration dates, and when they, yeah.
Warren and
Four now? on date or expiration?
Or both.
Term expiration.
Dan, I hope my name's not on that list. I don't
Oh, it's
know when
both.
expired.
There is a born on date.
Right.
Okay, what do you got, Madam? All right, Madam Clerk, what do you got?
Okay, so we have 4 for sure.
Okay,
We're gonna have to revote on, several for the 5th position.
okay,
So the vote of 5 is Sharon Hegstrom. Robert Howell had, do you want me to just read these 4 right now?
Yes.
Okay, so Sharon Hegstrom had 5 votes. Edward Rood had 5 votes. Jennifer Rusk has 3. Leo Sand has 4. Those
Okay.
4 are your highest votes right there. So we need a second vote on your 5th seat. And your 5th seat would be between Robert Howell, Maureen Cosico, James Onoda, David Patton, and Thomas Torgerson. Only.
can you repeat those again? Because I
Yes.
can't write that fast.
Sharon Hegstrom,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, Robert Howell,
Mm-hmm.
Maureen Cosico, I don't know how to say her name. James Onodo, David Patton, or Thomas Torgerson. You're only
Okay.
gonna vote for one of those,
Only one
and
person.
only those people.
What do you want us to vote on? Just any piece
Oh,
of paper?
sorry,
Need another,
second ballot.
so we'll just circle the name
Yep.
now, that you want of those?
You're gonna get a fresh ballot.
Oh, we got it, oh, look at us.
You're only gonna vote for
Only
one
vote
person
Okay,
out of those.
got it.
You want me to read them again? The ones you're gonna
Yeah,
vote
so we
out
can
of?
like,
Okay.
now that we have it, we can put a little
Yep.
check mark
Okay,
next to it or
so
something.
Robert Howell,
Okay,
Maureen Cosico.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Maureen, I'm butchering your name. James Onoda,
okay,
David Patton, and Thomas Torgerson.
so one of those 5.
One of those 5.
One, okay. I'm curious as to how many of these you have. I know it says number 2, you got a whole nother round
didn't
3?
sign it.
I
Sorry.
knew this was gonna go a while. I was like, they're never gonna get 5 people on the first try.
And then are you gonna repeat the 5 again?
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay. We're not through, we're not out of the race. Uh-oh.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so Robert Howell received 2 votes. Maureen, I'm not even gonna try her name again, received 1. David Patton received 1, and Thomas Torgerson received 1, so Robert Howell is your applicant, or
Okay.
your,
Got it?
okay, so
read it.
now,
A motion to
What-
appoint.
Do
you
we
want me
her
to read
it?
all 5 of them again? Just
Read it and then we'll make the motion? Or do
You
want
got it.
Okay.
So the 5 with the highest amount of votes is Sharon Hegstrom, Edward Rood, Jennifer Rusk, Leo Sand, and Robert Howell.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the 5 members of MRF committee? I will move to approve the vote for the approval of the 5 committee members.
I will second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying
Do
aye.
you have further
Aye.
discussion?
Aye.
There
Opposed?
seems to be something going on out of them.
Oh.
No? Okay.
Okay, so can we go back to CellCab real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so Becky Werner is not up for reappointment, so it is only the 4.
Okay. Got it. So there are 4 seats and 4 applicants.
Correct.
Got it.
Becky got put on the tally sheet for some reason.
That's the one you want?
Yeah. They can still serve on 2 committees.
I don't think so. Didn't we have that?
We have
Which
3.
one is it?
Yep.
Betty Simpson.
She was appointed
That would be
to.
4.
Cab.
She's board
And
cap
so
and
is
cell cap.
Barbara Hill would be on board cab also, she's not up for appointment, but she's on.
I don't know right offhand, so I would recommend you go ahead and appoint them, and then we'll come back if we have to.
We've always been able to be on two.
Right, they had a waiver system in there.
What?
In their rules.
In the old ordinance, there's a waiver system that they could waive them and put them on two committees.
In the old system.
On the old, right.
Do you want us to move on to the other one and come back, or are you checking on something, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay.
Whether or not someone can serve on two committees.
So we already have 3 others on 2 committees.
All right.
Right. Well, and then the old ordinance, the emergency one, it just, it's not in there.
Amy, do you want to go on to one of the other committees?
We can go on to public safety.
Okay. We'll move on to Public Safety Committee and then come back. There are 3 open seats and 2 applicants.
Correct. See,
We're ready
just
when
so
you are.
the public is aware, there's 2 vacancies still.
And there are 2 vacancies on the Public Safety Committee, as just reported by Madam Clerk.
After today.
After today.
Thank you.
Do you want, are you gonna want these LPA ones back for next week?
I'll give them to you next week, cause they're dated.
Oh.
So, Mayor,
Yes.
with vote of 5 each is Todd Capella and Karen Farrell.
Kieran.
Kieran?
Farrell for Public Safety Committee. And there are still 2 open seats on Public Safety. If anyone out there in TV viewing land is interested.
There you go.
So we need a motion and a vote.
Well, we're waiting for the Vice Mayor to come back.
Got it.
Okay,
He
so
should
it's
be-
already ordinance, it's not in the procedure.
It wasn't in there, and then the last time we changed it, back years ago, they put,
No pressure, Jim, but we're waiting on you. That's all right.
I turned in your, but we
No, we
gotta
gotta take the vote. We're waiting
we
for you
need
to
to-
get back.
I think it was in the
approval of the vote.
ordinance.
Is there a motion to approve the appointees for the Public Safety Committee as laid out by the town clerk?
So moved.
Got a
Second.
Motion by Counselor Safford, seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Are we back to, is that the last one? We're done?
We're still at cell cab,
So it's LCAP.
and the questions arose about serving on 2 boards.
Are you talking about Barbara and Betty?
Correct.
They have both been on those committees for a long, long time, both,
Would also be
Yeah.
Ed Schoonover as well.
and Jennifer Russ now.
Mm-hmm. We've always been able to be on 2 committees that I remember.
I like it, I understand.
Okay, so you have 2 options. You could delay your vote on that particular appointment to the 28th, or you could vote, appoint them based on everyone's knowledge that it has been the past practice. I can do the research and verify and report to you on Monday.
Okay. What would you like to do, Counselor King?
Continue as we approved, I guess.
Okay. Vice Mayor Hill?
I'd prefer to go ahead today and
We'll just
affirm
vote 'em
those
in,
2.
And
Yeah.
then if there's an issue, we'll bring it back to you.
That's fine, that's
Okay.
fine.
Counselor Woodson?
Same, go ahead and make the,
Absolutely.
Okay, is there a motion to, well,
Want
go
me
ahead,
to
read
read the
first.
names?
Yeah.
Okay, so with votes of 5-0, appointments would go to Carrie Henderson, Barbara Hill, Betty Simpson, and Cheryl Smith.
Is there a motion to approve the 4 members of CELCAB as,
I'm sorry, I was just gonna make that.
as laid
motion.
out by the town clerk?
Trying to move things
It's
along.
okay.
So moved.
All right. I'll
Second.
Counselor Wood Safford, seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Okay, the last thing we have that was added on was item L. It is the interlocal agreement with the library for the beach school. This is a resolution of the town council of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, approving an interlocal agreement with the library board of the town of Fort Myers Beach to allow use of the public library while repairs are made at the Bay Oaks Recreation Center for after-school programming, authorizing the mayor to sign the interlocal agreement and direct the clerk to record a copy in the Lee County official records and providing an effective date. Okay? Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Yes, if I could.
Yes.
I just would, first of all, like to thank a number of people who helped make this possible. I don't have my list in front of me, so I'll have to do it off the top of my head. But I wanted to thank John Koss, who was here earlier. John is a force of nature, and he will not be denied, and I say that affectionately. He not only drove this particular provision, but he also drove getting the remediation to the beach school after the hurricane. And I wanted to thank all my colleagues on the council for reaching out to various people. I want to thank Sam Fisher from the town, who chairs the school board, along with Chris Patrica, who's our district rep, and those school officials who work with us to get that school, get that remediation going. It is going to be a few months, hopefully fewer rather than more. The estimate is around 3 to 4 months. And then so, but that remediation occurring quickly was so important because that just didn't happen after Ian, so we're very thankful for that. Second of all, with respect to the after-school care, Jenny Tardif was also very helpful in this. We thank the town staff, Jeff and Danielle and Andy and everybody for helping us do this. I thank our town attorney for over the weekend putting this together for us last minute and working with the library board and their town attorney and Liz Rhodes at the library, all very helpful. Everybody working together to help preserve some sense of normalcy in the bizarro world in which our poor beach school elementary kids have to live in. To the school district's credit, they are bringing a bus to Fort Myers Beach, which didn't happen before. They had to go out to the Walmart. There is still a stop at the Walmart and at Buttonwood and at the beach school, which is a great convenience to the kids. Unfortunately, the first day the bus didn't show up, but they had a challenge with the driver. Hopefully those will be remedied. But this after-school program, the parents love it, the kids love it. That's a testimony to our staff, Jeff and Danielle and the whole team over there. And we're happy to have it at the library for maybe a few weeks, maybe a little longer, just depends how long it takes to remediate Bay Oaks. And while this was going on, the folks at Margaritaville were offered to help us as well as an interim solution. But the library came through, so that wasn't necessary, but we want to thank the Margaritaville people as well for their kind offer as well to assist. So I'm sure I missed somebody because I don't have my note in front of me, but I just want to thank everybody involved and urge your support for this interlocal agreement, which is really, and I'll let Nancy correct me, but it's really procedural in nature. There's no substantive policy issues involved in this interlocal agreement. It's just a legal document to codify the agreement to have the kids be there for a few weeks. So appreciate your support.
I will move to approve the interlocal agreement with the library for the school board.
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Aller, seconded by Counselor King. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Final public comment. Anyone? Leah, come on up.
I just want to address what we discussed earlier about this appeal process.
Leah, just again.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry. Leah Gregg, resident. So, I anticipated that in the initial reading when I kind of read through the lines with regard to, okay, well, why are we changing this? And I reached out to, his name is Thomas Delaney. You might know him, Andy. Tad Delaney. He's the building official in Lee County. So, first off, Lee County and Bokeelia and St. James City and Matlacha, Bonita Springs and Cape Coral all have the process in place that anyone, not just the homeowner, can file a complaint if their property was adversely affected by a building official's decision. You, Andy, Frankie, Joe, all told me that I could follow this process if I didn't agree with the decisions that the building official made that's causing my property to be adversely affected, right? Fortunately, you guys let me record that meeting for reference. It's recorded that you all informed me to do that. When I contacted Lee County, they didn't say it was a gentleman's agreement. They said that we did have an interlocal agreement signed in place. And Tad, the building official, he also told me that you met with I guess, Mark Mora, a couple building officials, well, I have the email, I'll send it to you. But nonetheless, they said that they suggested that we continue our interlocal agreement to keep it consistent with what we had in the past. I also shared with Tad, I said, look, and this was on September 18th, I sent him this email. I said, my interpretation is the town of Fort Myers Beach is not allowing anyone but the homeowner to appeal a decision made by a building official if that decision adversely affects their property. So I said, can you please help me understand the way it works in Lee County? And he said, quote, any concern under Lee County's jurisdiction would be heard by anyone. I repeat, anyone, not just the homeowner, who feels that they have been adversely affected by a decision made by a building official, regardless of if they were or were not the property owner. So my question is, why did you change that? Why did you make it now where there's absolutely no oversight? Because you don't ask them any questions. I've asked you to ask them questions. Dan, you haven't. I understand you're not a building official. You put it back on these guys. But nobody oversees his decisions. And now we had one avenue to do that, and you changed the game on us. Can I just ask why? Perhaps it's not mandatory legally to allow anyone to be able to file an appeal or to appeal a building official's decision. But is it ethical? Is it the right thing to do? And why are you protecting decisions he makes that could adversely affect someone's property? When you told me to take this step, I did, and now it's completely changed. Where now no one can question the building official unless they're a homeowner. So again, why did you change that? Disadvantaging homeowners. You can't answer that question here?
We'll ask her to ask. I'll ask her to ask. Answer
Okay.
it under her items.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to respond. I know you don't respond to anyone via email. It has to go through
I'm sorry, we do.
Frankie. It has to go through Frankie.
All right, we'll have her.
Okay.
I can go ahead and address it. So if you have a concern with your neighbor because
It's
of
not my neighbor.
a
but go ahead.
building permit that is issued,
It's not about a permit. It's about the building official's decision to allow
so
a
there
code
is,
violation.
in your code right now, you do have an administrative appeal process,
Mhm.
and that is of any director or town employee that makes a decision gets appealed primarily first to our town manager, who then can bring the appeal to town council. That process is in place, and I believe that that is the process right now that decisions of the building official would follow.
Yeah, well, it was told to me, and it was also told to me by Lee County, that the interlocal agreement allowed this 13-member board to hear and decide on any appeal that someone would bring forth
Right.
by the building official. So I know you sent me an email through Frankie about a permit. I've never said anything about
Leah,
permits.
Leah,
Yes.
This discussion can be had. There might be other people
Okay.
that want to speak under public comment, so
That's
you can have
fine.
this discussion after.
Yeah, okay. But I
Right.
just want to make it clear that it seems that it changed, and it changed that does not advantage
Okay.
the homeowners.
Thank you, Leah.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Town manager items.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate everything that you guys do. It's not always an easy task, but as far as the emergency preparedness, Councilor King's right. It wasn't perfect. But I would submit that with the intangibles that we had to deal with, the unknown of storms, and dealing with two other professional entities, a fire department and a Lee County Sheriff's Department, and dealing with residents who had been through this, we came as close to perfect as we could at this point. And I think as we learn from this, we'll continue to raise that bar. And I appreciate all the kudos, but staff did an excellent job. Debris removal continues. Apparently, there's supposed to be another truck out today. I haven't been out to check, but I know that we had one. As I stated earlier to some of you during a break, that they go where the money is. And so right now the money's in the mountains, and they're going for the debris up there because they had post-disaster contracts put in place, which created a different dynamic for us. We were pre-disaster, which is required. They were post-disaster, so they're charging some more dollars. So I think from what I was told on yesterday afternoon, trucks turn around and they go to where the money is. So we are working to try to get more trucks here to try to come up with a better system, a different angle. We do have the annual report that's required by contract, and what I'll do is I can either give you a hard copy or we can email that to you, whatever your preference will be. The new town hall, we did take.
Since just to keep safe time, and I won't, because it's germane to what you just said, Andy. I was gonna ask this during council items, but since we're on debris, could you just help people understand a little bit better and it's in terms of, as I understand it, because this is federally funded, this debris pickup, as opposed to under Ian, it was state funded, we're restricted to picking up residential property debris. In other words, commercial, and I think condos are considered commercial under this new sort of paradigm. Is that true then? That, and I understand you're also working on some other options for those. Could you just kind of flesh that out for people?
That's the way we understood it as of like Saturday night.
Yep.
As of yesterday, I found out that when the federal government says commercial, they're talking about a big development like Walmart or Target or the whole of 7-Eleven, for instance. Not necessarily commercial mom and pop stores and condos. I'm getting that clarified. I'm reached out to someone that's in the business. He's up in Greenville, but he's up working in North Carolina at this point. So I'm leaning on him for some guidance. He was supposed to send me an email yesterday, but maybe didn't get around to it. So I believe we'll still be able to get it, and we'll be able to get paid for by the federal government, FEMA,
Oh, okay.
at this point. I also understand through that source is that originally it was 30 days. Now we believe it's 90 days, 100% reimbursement. So I'm still clarifying that. So as soon as I get that clarification, we'll get that out.
So our friends in commercial properties, when I say commercial, small businesses on the island and condos should kind of just hang tight?
Correct.
And that it may work out. They still need to separate it appropriately?
Absolutely. It needs to be separated.
And then the other question I get about is people that just have sand. Are they allowed to move that to the boulevard? Does the town want that? And will they pick it up?
We do want it, and we are working to get that worked out as well because it's very valuable. We stopped the county from taking it down to Lover's Key and then sending it to Sanibel on Friday. So that was a big issue that we had, but yes, we're working to
And
get
I
that
thought I
addressed.
saw where if somebody does put it out on the boulevard, not in the road, but next to it, do they need to call Chad to come out and inspect every single pile, or just, how do you guys want us to, how do you want the public to proceed with that? Do you want to be called for each one, Chad, or just ones that are suspicious?
Morning, I think it's still morning. Chad Schutz, Town
it's
of
not
Fort Myers
still
Beach.
morning.
Even in Australia.
Okay, there you go. So, our contractors are pretty well versed in what we want and what we don't want in the piles. It's the mucky stuff that's more mud and landscape stuff that may raise some flags. As long as they've kept it away from debris reasonably, it should be okay for pickup.
And they don't need to call you to inspect it then, right? I thought I saw somewhere that,
That's more for if they want to put clean sand out on the beach.
okay, so,
And that does not require a permit, but we're keeping an eye on that. We don't want rocks and debris.
so if they're
and-
going to the beach, call you, but if they're just putting it out to be picked up, go ahead and do that.
Or better yet, send me an email. Yes, sir. CHADD@fmbgov.com.
But I mean, send you an email if you're going to, if they're gonna take it to the beach?
Correct.
But not if they're just putting it on the boulevard to be picked up?
Correct.
Gotcha. All right, that's helpful, thank you.
Thank you. The new town hall, we did take some water there. It's been remediated. We continue to move forward with the process of carpet and paint. Hopefully in the next 7-10 days, I'll have those lined up so we can start moving forward with getting those two levels. And we are getting the RFP together, hopefully this week, so we can put that out to get the downstairs ready to go. Because obviously we'll be ready to do a swearing-in ceremony down there. It's cleared out whenever we decide to swear in the new council after the election in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks from tomorrow, actually. I want to thank the Lee County Sheriff's Office and the Fort Myers Beach Fire District for their cooperation and their support during Milton. It was really a team effort with all of us, the town and those two entities. As far as the council, the LPA joint voting meeting, it was brought up earlier, that was, we were trying to get it scheduled, and then we had Helene, and then we had Milton, and then, so sometimes you prioritize things, and that was cleanup, and so now we'll get with the clerk, and she can send out an email to see what dates work for everybody, so we can keep moving on that, so you can have a voting meeting on the comp plan only.
Before you move on that though, wasn't the discussion to have some charrettes with the public before it got to the council?
That is correct, yes.
So,
I was working with Access to get a quote to get those things going as well.
okay, so that will come before the joint
That
meeting?
is correct, yes.
Okay. Just wanted
So
clarification.
it's a bigger picture than just a quick meeting.
Right, I think it was Barbara that was asking about.
Correct, yes.
She's not here now,
Yes.
but
Yep,
I think she
correct.
was the one asking about it.
We also were able to secure through Senator Scott's office the extension for the recreation grant for back here for the park. We need to move, we need to get some, probably get a contract in place by the end of the year, calendar year, to be able to secure the money from the ARPA funds, the match that we'll put for that. So we're working to get that accomplished. As far as the appeal to the building official, yeah, we do support the building official, and we do think that he does a good job, his due diligence. Also, when I spoke on a phone call to Dave, I have no idea who else was in the room, so I can't attest to who was in the room at that time. They were telling me it's $1,000 minimum for our residents to pay to go through that. So my suggestion was that we go this other route in order to save the residents that money. So hopefully they didn't have to pay anything, but in order to go through the process with the county, and by the way, we are not in Lee County's jurisdiction because we don't have an MOU with them. We're in Fort Myers Beach jurisdiction. So we have that to be part of as well, going forward. But I felt like in the best interest of all the citizens that we would look at it as not having them to have to pay $1,000 minimum to have them do plan reviews and do all the research they needed before they rendered a decision. So that was more of an economic decision for the residents. That's all we have. Jeff, if you will speak a little bit about the Bay Oaks Gymnasium Arena. That's your word.
Yeah, so we had a good initial, almost immediate response from our insurance company. They came down and did an assessment of Bay Oaks again right after the storm. They've already started some of the remediation process. They're doing some more tests on the flooring that's down there. Just with all the storms that have gone through and all the flooding, we're going to make sure that it's safe for the visitors and residents to be in. So they're assessing that right now. We should get their report here in the next few days, and then they'll make a decision on what needs to be done. If we need to pull up the gym floor and all the flooring in there, or it can be remediated that way. So we're also working on power. Kirkwood Electric is building us a whole new kind of switch gear, and then we're going to actually hopefully raise it up into the concession stand so we don't keep getting this every single time we have, a foot of surge at all down there. So we're trying to remediate it so we don't have these interruptions, and we're just trying to make it safe for the residents and the visitors.
Do we have an update on the election was going to be in that room? Have we talked to Tommy Doyle's office to find out if we're going to have electric to be able to do it, and two, if not, what is Plan B?
We do have electric there. The whole building is under generator power right now, and so that won't be an issue at all. We just make sure there's diesel in the generator and we'll have plenty of lights.
And we'll follow up with Tommy Doyle's office just to make sure he doesn't have to, switch gears and go a different direction.
Sounds good.
That's all we got.
Any questions for, you waving your hand, Counselor King, like you got a question?
Nope, just scratching.
Okay.
Where did you?
Any questions for Andy?
Yeah, I do. I've got actually two questions. When is the beach renourishment going to start back up?
Already has.
And where, we kind of get a time frame now, how much, what the expected end date is and where they're starting from, where they're gonna finish?
Sure, Chad Schutz for the record. So we have started back up, is my understanding. I haven't seen it today to see if whether or not we're putting material out, but I believe last week they were starting to put material back on the beach. As far as the schedule, I'm still waiting for that. As of last week's construction meeting, the engineer and contractor promised me to get an answer on that, so I'll get it to you as soon as possible.
Were they gonna start at Newton Park now, or did they change that? Because we had all that piping down there.
Right, so that pipe was moved out for, I guess it was Helene or Milton? I can't remember, it's all blurred together, but they got it out of there, and they are gonna start moving it back a little bit, not all at once kind of thing, so.
Okay.
But they will start staging at Newton Park sometime in the near future.
Okay, so they're gonna work Newton Park this way?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, thank you.
Well, I don't know that that's necessarily true, is it? They're not gonna start up again at Newton Park, they're just gonna continue down the beach, but they're staging the pipe.
Yeah, once they reach whatever threshold they need to make Newton Park worth it to stage there, they'll move to Newton Park.
But they're not jumping from where they're at now down to Newton Park and starting.
Correct, sorry.
I don't know
Okay,
if that's.
so yeah, that was, kind of a misconception, because everybody saw that pipe there, they thought, oh, they're gonna start at Newton Park and work backwards, but they're continuing going, marching.
Yeah, they were
Oh,
just
okay.
using that to fuse pipe and as a staging yard.
Okay, yeah, there was a lot
Sorry,
of
misunderstood.
confusion there, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it appears like they're just past Best Western now, at least that's what I saw this weekend.
Yes, sir.
And they're still moving at the 1,000 feet a week or 100 feet a day, trying to.
It all just depends on where they're at, how much volume they have per shoreline foot will dictate how fast they move down the shoreline. And we'll get an idea on scheduling once we have a good idea of production rates.
Hopefully we make it 2 weeks without any disturbance.
Fingers crossed.
Right, all right.
Yeah, and then my other question, I've had a lot of residents ask about a water credit or some help
Sewer.
with filling their pools back up. So,
Yeah, so we still have the up to 9,000 gallons that we give the billing adjustment for. Just got to contact the utilities billing department and set that up.
so each resident has to do that on their own?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone has a
Well, right.
pool, I guess. So.
There's a,
Okay.
isn't there a form? There's a form
Yeah,
on the
yeah, they'll have
website.
a form to fill out and do an adjustment that way. But yeah, it's up to 9,000 gallons.
Okay, can we make a announcement on that so
Yeah.
everybody knows?
Yes.
That'd be great, thank you.
Can I piggyback on that, Scott? I had a constituent who queried about that same concept as a credit, that once a year credit for pool fill up, whether they could get that credit for pressure washing after their house is mucked out. Would that be something that would they potentially be eligible for? And how would that work? There was just sort of a suggestion to help people who are trying to clean out their house because they're using a disproportionate amount of water that particular day. I don't know, maybe tough
Yeah,
to,
It's something we can discuss.
just something to take a
as
look.
team, yeah.
I just promised her I'd ask about it. Yep. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Question for Andy or Three Amigos? All right, town attorney items?
I do have an item. So as you know, we have been working on our unsafe building program. And a couple of the properties have evolved where 3 of them were identified for possible demolition by the town. And I'm not certain of the exact status. Joe is here. He can give you more information about that. But working with Jason Freeman, we priced him out. And it looks like, what was it, almost $100,000 for the 3. So if the town is going to expend the money, we want to be able to recover it. And when you amended your code, the unsafe building code, you provided for the collection of any money that the town pays to have a building demolished to be placed on the tax roll. There is a process in Florida law that allows that to occur, but there are certain things that need to happen before you're able to do that. And so on November the 18th, in your packet, you'll have a resolution to consider putting any expenses, only expenses that the city pays to have a home demolished or residence demolished, to be recovered on the tax roll. I brought it up today because part of the procedures in Florida law requires that an advertisement be placed in the newspaper for 4 consecutive weeks prior to that time. So last Friday, there was an ad in the newspaper referencing this, and this Friday, there will also be an ad. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware that that was out there in the event that questions were asked of you as to, well, what is this and how does it impact me? It only impacts a property owner if the town pays money to have a structure demolished.
And maybe this is a Joe question, does that, if the town moves forward with, you said there's 3 properties
I
currently?
think so. Joe, if you could maybe give the update on that?
Yes, we have 3 properties that are chosen to be demolished by the town. I'm not sure where we are on the scheduling of that.
That is Jason Freeman, I think, who is working on that, or contracting.
And is this public information which 3 properties this is at this point, or is it?
Yeah, it is. This is through the town's program to, the town has been working with these property owners to get them to comply, because their buildings are unsafe.
Okay.
There's been notice that's been provided. There was an appeal period. There was no, movement during the appeal period. There was a 60-day period in the event anybody was living there. That has now expired. And so now we're in a position where the town can move forward and demolish the structure. I think, Joe, you had mentioned to me that you're gonna reach out again to the property owner to see if they wanted to perhaps demolish it on their own.
Well, that thought occurred to me, and I expressed it, and then I thought, we are already making it public knowledge by way of posting it in our lobby here, as well as posting it on our website. So I think it's, I decided not to reach out because we're making it public information. I'm trying to be on the fine line of making the owners responsible for what I think this ordinance is meant for, not only to clean the town up, but make the owners liable for doing what they're supposed to do on these properties that have been sitting in that condition for so long. So I'm more inclined to hold them to the timeline as best I can.
Okay.
And instead of letting them keep extending the timeline.
Mr. Mayor, to
Yes.
that point, we started out with 8 properties. Right off the get-go, one of the properties was remediated by the owner. And since then, we have fallen through with other properties also doing the demolition on their accord after they seen that we initiated this first go.
Yes.
When we talk about 3 properties, that was off the initial list of 8. We have subsequent lists waiting to be enacted behind this, of the tune of, I think, almost of another 14 properties. Altogether, we scoped out almost 40 properties in all that needed to be demoed. The process is Joe is out in the field and his staff find these properties. They've been going and submitting them to the DeVos law firm, who's been doing the title searches, those type of things, so we can start that process going. So when we've had these discussions over the last couple of meetings about these three properties were actually that initial list that we had given you. One of which is a company or a residence, commercial property downtown on Old San Carlos, who inadvertently, through our investigation, actually reached out to our demolition vendor as well and is under contract with them. So now it's just who's gonna get there first. Is he gonna act on our behalf first, or is he gonna act on the owners first? It's just a scheduling thing, but Jason has been very good as far as taking the 2 firms that we vetted and getting feedback back and forth on the properties.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
Can I just
Oh,
have a clarification that you said the 3 properties that we're talking about are on the website? Is that correct? or-
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And my question would be for you, Joe. The funding for this, if it's, say, $100,000 and it's approved, where will that come from? Will that come from the community development portion of the budget or general fund?
No, Joe Onzik, Finance Director. We earlier, I think, had approved the use of the bridge loan because it can be used for emergency
okay.
response.
All right. Couldn't remember.
That's it. So I just wanted to make you aware of this advertisement, so if anybody asked you, so there wasn't any misinformation. And it's only if the town has to pay for the demolition of the structure.
Okay. Questions for Nancy? John?
No.
Vice Mayor? No. Council Woodson?
No.
Scott? Okay. What do we got next? Council member items and reports. Council King?
Can I go last?
Sure.
Thank you.
Council Stafford?
Actually, Andy answered all my questions, so I'm good.
Council Woodson?
I'm good.
All mine have been answered as well. Vice Mayor Adderall?
I had 2 of 3 answered, and I just wanted to ask publicly, and I talked to Frankie off mic here, so he's not on the spot, but we had a query from Linda Miller, who runs the farmers markets, and there's some challenges with Times Square right now, no fault of the town, and she had asked, under her existing permit, whether she could move temporarily the farmer's market to Santini Plaza on Friday and Saturdays, in addition to Thursday, when they open on Thursday, until Times Square is either ready or they just hope to, I don't know what exactly their law. I just want to make sure that was, people are aware that there's the thought of moving it to Santini. I'll let Linda give people the details and the specifics. I just wanted to make sure publicly that the town's comfortable with them doing that under their existing permit.
Yeah, right after Milton, one of the recovery efforts was making sure that Times Square was safe for everybody.
Yep.
And we had taken some damage with our trees, some of the infrastructure to some extent. So we had reached out to the Millers, and I just expressed that over the next several weeks, it would probably not be a good idea to hold the farmer's market there until we get a better handle on what we need to do. It's not a long-term thing, it's just a temporary relocate. I know last weekend Margaritaville was very nice to offer their facility for it, and she reached out to Santini, and Santini was very receptive as well. Again, it's not a permanent thing, it's just until we can get a better handle on what we are doing there. It shouldn't be more than a week or so.
And the one thing was the vehicular traffic, because they usually bring heavy vehicles and
Oh,
things.
sure,
We don't know
yeah.
what's underneath right
No,
now.
I don't think anybody begrudges it, I just wanted it for informational purposes, so we'll let Linda from the farmer's market let the public know
Yeah.
that, hey, it's okay, but here's when and how we're gonna move to Santini. I'll let her.
And the Millers have been very good communicating with myself
That's
and with
great.
Tracy Rasky in permitting, and letting us know what their discussions were with not only Margaritaville, but with also Santini Plaza, so appreciate that as well.
Is there any specific challenges at Times Square that you could use some help with from the private sector? Or do you not want to get specific?
Not at this time.
All right, very good, sir. Thank you, that's all I've got.
Counselor Kane?
I don't know if we want to address what Tom Houghton's concerns were earlier today. I'll tell you, it hurts because I grew up in a small business, and most of you know there was a donut shop. You don't know that it was taken away from us by a semi-truck that crashed through the business when my mom and dad were in there. I was 10 years old, and I remember getting pulled out of school because my dad had to go to the hospital. The building had tipped over, and it was very difficult to get out, but we had natural gas too at the time, because when you frosted the donuts, you needed to have a burner. So he got my mom out. So that's always stayed with me. I mean, we were very well off. I won't say well off. We're like Kamala, we were middle class. So after that, we struggled to even get up to middle class. But it hurts me. I know in talking to Tom that he thinks it's hurting him financially and may even cause him to be bankrupt. I don't know if he wanted that shared or not, but he shared it with me. So I'm torn because I know what we have to do, but it seems like there's a little bit of a pushback I feel that we could give to FEMA or the federal government, because this is our town, and we should be able to exercise our rights within this town. I know the flood insurance is an issue, and checking with Andy earlier, that I think you said over 5,000 folks that were in the program as of last November. I don't want to hurt those folks either, so I'm just torn. I don't know where to go with this. So I'm just looking for any feedback, I guess.
Well, I was gonna actually come back in and ask that same thing to see if, Frankie, you can give us an update. I know I've pushed, I know that you've pushed. Give an update as to, we pushed pretty hard back on the November deadline for reasons everybody knows, because it just doesn't make sense. We're going into season, we're outside of hurricane season.
Well, and it's our autonomy as a governing body. I think that is being challenged.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for Frankie, but my interpretation of what I've been told is we're just requiring you to do what your code is requiring you to do. And I think that we've done that. Doesn't mean we can't send a letter. He had requested us to send a letter, a formal letter to them to say, look at what he's done, how fast he can do it. I would certainly be behind doing that, at least on his behalf, because he asked us to do it. Now, whether or not they do or don't, but at least we can send the recommendation if my fellow council members are okay with directing you to do that. Because I'm with you. I mean, it's people have been punched in the face too many times, and The timing of this is irresponsible, in my opinion, from FEMA. And for them to not at least look at it and understand that it's outside of hurricane season, and this is when these people make their money, from 3 to 4 months, and they're all understanding that they have to be out before next hurricane season. They're all amenable to that. I guess my suggestion would be, let's take another run at the well.
Well, I think in September, you guys supported 5-0 for me to enforce that letter. That was in July, and that's part of that letter. Matter of fact, they're specifically spelled out in an email I got last week. La Ola is spelled out. I believe you'd shared it with the mayor that way back when FEMA came, the one place they talked about when they were here was La Ola. It's not like it just came up a couple months ago and we just decided that that's who we're gonna start going. I mean, we're going after everybody, but we'll do, if Nancy can prepare a letter, I think that's fine. We just wanna remind everybody that's where we are. We've been going through the process that we were directed to do, and so we will
And
continue
maybe
to
not
do that.
specific to that. I mean, we can use them as an example since they spelled out them specifically. But I think in general, for those that are working outside of hurricane season, to try to make it across the board for people, with the intent that everybody understands at least they understood if it was coming into hurricane season that they had to go. Okay, fine. They knew the deadline was coming anyway, but to just take away, especially after the last 2 storms, to take away their potential to make a little bit of money back, when it is no inherent danger from hurricanes, to me, it's irresponsible, and I have no other word for it than that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, when we found out a couple months ago about FEMA actually singling out this, and it was by the regional director of FEMA out of Atlanta, who specifically had a meeting with Andy and I and spoke of that particular establishment. It was shortly thereafter that I met with the property owner and with Tom and expressed what was brought up in part in that meeting, and what options that we had available to us as a town. One of which I could speak on their behalf to FEMA. Tom shared with me that he had a little video that he had just put together about how quick his establishment could be taken down. This was before he put it on Facebook. He sent me a copy of that. I sent it up to the deputy director in Atlanta on town email and asked that very question. I have not gotten an answer back. They have not responded in any way, shape, or form. Our FEMA representative that come through here on a weekly basis, or that we talk with on a weekly basis, that's one of the items on our corrective action plan, wondering why this has not been addressed, week in and week out. Whatever reason, they are adamant that this has to be done. That's what precipitated the town taking the lead and saying, okay, if you want us to give them a notice of violation and expect them to be out of here by November 18th, we are going to do the same thing. And we've talked about this before, and people don't understand, we NOV'd ourselves. We are in that same process. We are going to have to go to the same magistrate process through DOA. Obviously, we can't use our own magistrate. That would not be impartial. I expressed to the landowner and through Tom and through a couple other property owners, commercial property owners in here in town who have businesses on trailers that cannot be readily taken down and hauled out quickly with a pickup truck, that this process is available. We're going to be using it ourselves. Where are we going to go? Are we going to go back into a tent? Are we going to ask the fire department if we can use their property again? So this is a process that we're all going to have to use to ask for a stay, ask for some type of understanding as we move forward. FEMA, the process that we're going to be going through is the regular magistrate process. The magistrate, whether FEMA recognizes what the magistrate says or not, again, it's uncharted waters. We really don't know, but we're going to try. This is the last physical thing we can do besides taking and suing FEMA itself. And that's something that.
That window's closed, I believe.
Yes.
The one thing that I got on corrective action plan review comments on October 18th, early Friday. Plan to complete removal of all non-compliant structures, quote, parentheses, containers, trailers, La Ola, etc., close parentheses, by November 18th, 2024, issuing notices of violations is insufficient. We can write a letter.
So
That's okay.
even though we've sent notices of violation, that's insufficient in their eyes.
We were told.
But they're not giving us any direction on what they want us to
We
do.
were told one thing, Mr. Mayor, we were told that federal law supersedes state law, which superstates local law.
In this case.
And we were
Well,
told
that's not federal law, it's a federal regulation.
it is a federal regulation, but it was
But-
adopted as a federal,
This
or as
came
a state
from Kevin
standard.
Guthrie, that was a quote from Kevin Guthrie's mouth.
So that was from our own Director of Emergency Management. In this meeting, sitting next to,
Oh, we can still send a letter, I mean, that never hurts to do that, but, I mean, we had Rick Scott working on this, and we still
Oh,
can
yeah,
continue to
yeah.
get these emails,
Yeah,
but
we
nobody's
tried
higher,
from
no
the top
offense,
down.
nobody's higher than him in the state of Florida, I don't think. And a letter would be great, because it would show
Well,
support.
that's the first I've heard of this, and not to keep banging it.
That's not the first we've heard of it.
no.
Well, as far as I've heard of it.
No, you told me about Loyola 2 years
No,
ago.
I'm talking about what you just
No,
read.
Yeah.
What you just
Oh,
read,
I
the
got
res-
you.
the
Yeah,
response,
this came Friday.
the response saying just giving them a notice of violation is not sufficient.
What is it?
That's what our code requires us to do.
So what their
So-
action
No.
plan, what FEMA called for was to show some relevance that you're trying to enforce the code for proper floodplain, regulations. Right in their own regulations book, it talks about, sending things through, magistrate. Having a code process where you can bring these people to a magistrate and follow that code process. And here they turned around and told us that because we've done this, it doesn't mean a hill of beans. Even though we're following the regulation that they set for, the same regulation that we've adopted as a town, the same regulation that we've adopted into our action plan all along for this continuance of our, flood insurance. So it's like, no matter what we do, they just kinda say, oh, we never said that. And again, as the town manager suggested, we've had multiple engagements with Senator Scott, and Representative Byron Donalds, who both sit in committees that adversely affect FEMA and how it operates. And they have both, from the top down, tried to approach this as we have collectively with the county and a couple other municipalities from the bottom up, being affected. And they're just looking at us and basically not giving us anything.
So, essentially what they're saying is these have to be gone by the 18th. There's no process in which they can go before a magistrate. So it's different from what was originally told to us. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yes. But again, the process is going to be the same. I'm gonna hold to that, and we have to show and demonstrate that we followed everything legally possible in the state of Florida. That's another thing that FEMA doesn't get a good grasp on. When we talk to our people that are here on a weekly basis, looking at all our records, they don't grasp the fact that Florida law is different than Georgia law or North Carolina law. And we have followed the true letter of Florida law to the T. So until they wrap their heads around that, there's room to squeak some things by. And I think that's what we're basically trying to do with our notice of violation, is buy us all time. We're using ourselves as an example. To be totally honest with you, as a council, where we sit right now, we're not affected by that. We're sitting high enough, we're in a different flood zone area.
Yeah, we get all that. I mean, we
All
don't, we
the-
need to go. we
But
don't need to-
using ourselves as an example, marching forward and showing that we were going to do the same thing. We're all gonna sit in the same room, we're all gonna follow the same edict. Trying to show some unification behind this, and it still didn't meet the requirement. I still intend to follow through with that, just for the sake
Well,
of, this is our plan.
I'm just trying to, because this is a big question that people are asking about in the public when it comes to these, condos, all these other places. Nancy, if their ultimate thing is that the trailers have to be and all the other structures have to be out by the 18th, or to me, what that sounds like is a threat, saying if it's not done, you're going to be put on probation and or minimum, at least lose your discount. There's legally nothing we can't go hook up to somebody's trailers and pull them off their property because FEMA doesn't like it. Can
If you have a finding of a violation, you do have authority to abate a violation.
But we haven't gone through that.
We
that
haven't gone
process.
through that process. I haven't spoken with code in the last day or two, but, and this is news to me as well, but I don't know, there is a process for code enforcement. It's not just issuing the notice of violation. It's issuing that, taking it before the magistrate, having the magistrate make a decision. a determination on whether there's a violation or not, and then ordering the appropriate remedy, which could be abatement, which would be the removal of the structure.
Yeah, but we're never, that
So we
process
have that
never gonna-
authority
We-
to
We were
do
actually
it.
also looking, if we got to this point and got to the magistrate and people were able to plead their case properly, you talked about getting through season, having time to get to next year, that the magistrate would at least give us a stay for these businesses. Then we would have somewhat of a legal precedence to base our claim back to FEMA, saying we've taken it to, and appealed and shown the process of what we do. We all understand that we have to be out of here no later than season next year, but at least give us this time to formulate and move that through.
But-
At least we would have some type of fine.
But that is out the window now, based on what the response was. You said you just got
That is
back
correct.
Friday.
from FEMA, or was it from FDE on that? I'm assuming
FEMA.
came from FEMA, that that's not sufficient.
Correct.
So essentially, they're telling us if the trailers aren't gone by the 18th, you're out of luck.
Containers, trailers,
This is the goalpost moving I always talk about with FEMA. Continue to move the book. Nobody can give you an answer.
But this has been this way ever since July, when our feet got really put to the fire. That they've continually moved what they wanted, that ring farther and farther, so you couldn't jump through that hoop. And again, trying to be a good soldier and follow everything that we can, we've been scurrying around trying to get every piece of
Well,
documentation.
if my fellow counselors will go along with me, I would like to direct you guys to get an answer from them. I don't care whose doors we gotta knock on, because to me, it sounds like we need to be preparing our residents for the fact that they're gonna lose their national flood insurance program. Based on what you just read, there's no other way out of
Unless the
it.
trailers
From
are
what
gone.
you're telling me and what they're
Well,
telling me.
unless the trailers and containers are gone. In my professional opinion, I don't think it's gonna matter whether they're moved or not. I think this predetermined months ago, years, right after the storm, that they wanted to do this. It's just been prolonged for 6 months because we went to a higher level, in my professional opinion.
But is it the discount that's being lost or the whole
Potentially
program?
both, they won't tell us.
It would be
Because
the-
people with mortgages, what do you do?
It would be the discount, and you'd be on probation, and nobody comes back off you would never get another discount.
But that's, what they've told us is that best case scenario, you will lose your discount. Worst case scenario is you get taken out of the National Flood Insurance Program altogether. And they haven't given us the definitive answer on that.
Nope.
And going back to Senator Scott's discussions with him, I mean, here you have the most senior ranking senator on that committee, and he knows these people, and he has talked from the top down.
Well, I
And-
think we
and
can.
we've gotten no movement either. So you wonder where the policy is coming from.
Well, all we can do is keep trying and push to every level we can.
Yep.
Vice Mayor, you look like you're leaning in to give
No, I
us
just,
some words of wisdom.
I don't, we're right in the middle of the silly season politically, but I do think that there is an election on November 5th, and we would have an opportunity, if the magistrate allows, if these folks like Tom makes his case and shows his exit plan, and he buys some time with the magistrate or DOA, we might be able to buy a month or two, and then, again, I'm not saying anything, I'm just telling you, if we'll have a new administration, that at least we can take it a fresh crack at, and Senator Scott obviously would have a great relationship with that relationship if it changes, and that could have an impact. I'm just saying there's possibilities out there, it's just it's a volatile time politically.
All right, well, I don't know where else to go with that. Try to get an answer, I guess.
We will.
Still want a letter?
I think it'd be,
I think anything of showing any type of unity
Oh, absolutely. I don't
has
think-
merit.
Never hurts.
You just can't say, okay, we gotta keep on trying till the
No,
very
I
end.
think we should have a letter.
And yes, I believe
From
that
all
would
of
be a
us.
good step.
And I think showing how, I think we have a track record now of showing that when we asked people to leave, they left and they took things with them. Not all people did, and not every dumpster got taken away, but a great majority did. And it really made an impact on how fast people could recover from a storm. I think showing that in that letter and showing how fast things went because people left, I think would go a long way. Well, maybe it won't go anywhere, but at least it's showing we're trying to make a unified effort to show that our residents are working with the policymakers to mitigate as much as possible the impacts of a storm. So take that how you will, and people smarter than me will write the letter. Well,
You're looking at me?
You looking
All
at
right.
me?
Anything else, Counselor King?
Yeah, just quickly, I'll briefly address the Molotov cocktail that was thrown and the bomb thrower left before I could respond. But I find that typical of that individual, that he projects onto others what he actually embodies. So I'll just end it with paraphrasing former Prime Minister Winston Churchill that says, "You made enemies? Good. It means you stood for something in your lifetime." So with that, I'm done.
Okay. If there's nothing else, is
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir,
just
go
a
ahead.
procedural question
Yep.
to Amy and to Andy. Is it true that the rest of the advisory committees for this month have been canceled?
Yes, they have been. They'll
Yes,
pick-
we did that at the emergency meeting. You guys have voted
the
for that.
advisory committees been notified then that they've been canceled for the rest for this month? I haven't seen anything for Anchorage or Selcad that they've been canceled formally.
Not
I'm just thinking about the
individually, we've
members.
just posted it everywhere that we've canceled them.
Yeah, I just want to make sure those members don't
I
show up.
thought Nicole sent something out, but I'll make
Did she?
sure we'll
Okay,
send
yeah,
something.
just- if we could just
We'll
check on
double
that.
check.
Yeah, that'd be
We
great.
haven't
Thank
had
you.
anyone show up yet, so.
Okay.
All right. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion by Counselor King, second by Counselor Safford. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.